Hello everyone, and welcome to the 13th episode of the Garden of Eden. And today James Eden will be making history, because your host James Eden will be doing his first ever question and answer show. Yes, that's right, the person who's YouTube's fastest rising shooter. The person who the only opinion that should matter is this person, me, James Eden. That's the only opinion that should matter. And the guy who's like that is doing his first ever question and answer show. So I want you to subscribe to everyone. To everyone who sent in questions, because their name will be in the link. Their name will be in the link. There'll be links to their channel in the description box. And if you haven't already subscribed to them, I want you to subscribe. But my first ever question is from The Creative Effect, and it says, "Hey James Eden, I wonder what you think about the return of D'Lo Brown, R-Truth, and the possibility of a return by Essa Rios to WWE." Now, James Eden doesn't really give two shits about Essa Rios, because I was never a big fan of his. In my opinion, he was only there to put over Lita. Or, well, that's the role that he played. He put over Lita. I mean, while Lita was really, really famous, essa Rios is nothing. And I wouldn't blame people for not recognizing him if he returns. But I mean, onto the video. I mean, onto the other two wrestlers who I am excited to see back to WWE. Now, I'm a huge fan of D'Lo Brown, and I'm glad to see him back on Raw. But recently I've been disappointed by the two reactions he's got. I mean, half the fans don't even know his name, and that's a disgrace. I mean, he's been going for 5 years, and 50% of the fans don't know who he is. And the reaction he got on Raw wasn't the best. But he does have an impressive moveset, and that could make him big. It could make him be a decent enough mid-carder at least. He does have a good enough moveset, and hopefully his reactions will improve. But I love Ron Killings too. I mean, really, to be honest, he should be billed as a former world champion, and be gave his Ron Killings name. Fuck TNA and giving him a new name, because TNA messed up by not pushing him. I mean, the guy is one of the most talented wrestlers in the business of professional wrestling today, and TNA never pushed him and released him. So I hope that he makes it big on SmackDown. I mean, he will, because he's charismatic and he can move good in the ring, and I hope he uses the axe kick. And he's a former world champion too. Don't forget that. Ron Killings is a former world champion, and he did rule in WWE before. But the chances of him being recognized, especially with a new name, aren't that high. But hopefully they get over if they bill him as a former world heavyweight champion. But I mean, that's my answer to the question. Loving D'Lo Brown, and I'm looking forward to Ron Killings. But Essa Rios, fuck Essa Rios. But my next question came from Red Dog 19, and it said, "What do you think of the Invasion storyline back in 2001? In my opinion, it was interesting, but some people said it was a flop. But what were your thoughts, and was there something wrong with the storyline? Most of the guys from WCW and ECW knew they wouldn't advance to WWE, but some didn't want to come, knew that they would advance. Now, the Invasion era was fun to watch. The Invasion storyline, sorry. And it helped put over a lot of wrestlers in the storyline, especially the WWE ones. I mean, the ECW wrestlers were low-card bitches after the storyline, so it clearly didn't work out that well for them. But it worked out good for WCW, and for people like Test and Booker T. But it was James Eden enjoyed the storyline. James Eden was entertained by it. James Eden loved the match at Survivor Series, where it was winner takes all, because I was cheering on Team WWF and was overjoyed whenever they won. But yeah, it was a very interesting storyline, and it did help push a lot of the wrestlers. I mean, it would have been far better if it had Hulk Hogan, Goldberg and Kevin Nash in the WCW team. That would have made things far more interesting. But unfortunately they weren't around at that time. But it was a good storyline. I mean, it was a good way of wasting 8 months of tape television and keeping it interesting with the turns and actually surprised James Eden. And not many things surprised James Eden. So it was a good storyline. And people said it was a flop or idiots. I mean, they never intended to put over WCW or to put over ECW. They intended to put over their company. And that's what they did. And if there's ever a future invasion storyline between TNA and ROH, whenever WWE beats and buys the competition again, the same thing will happen. Because WWE are going to push Samoa Joe. But anyway, it was a good storyline. And thanks for the question, Red Dog. And once again, subscribe to the guy. He doesn't get enough views or subscribers than he deserves. But anyway, next question, and this will probably be the last question I'll answer today. So sorry, crackhead, James W14. You'll just have to wait one more video for your question to be answered. But anyway, this question is from Ric Flair's fucking shit. A friend of mine, I guess, on YouTube. Someone who's as important around here and as charismatic, as much of an enigma as James Eden is. Ric Flair's fucking shit. So he said, "Sup James, this is my question for you. As you know, I hate Ric Flair, and just a couple of my reasons for hating him is because I find him a political whore to get where he is. I think his wrestling ability is overrated. What are your thoughts on Ric Flair?" Well, no offense to all of you Ric Flair haters, because I can fully understand where you do come from. But I do have a certain amount of respect for Ric Flair, for his long wrestling career, and for his devotion to the business. I mean, he did put a lot of effort into the wrestling business. But I do agree that he's politicked a lot. I mean, he is a political whore. And without all his ass kissing, he would never have been a 16-time World Heavyweight Champion. Never. Without the amount of ass kissing that he done. And that's why you and Ric Flair fucking sucks are so right about it. I mean, besides, in 2005, I began to get bored of Flair. Because every single match, what did he do? He just came out and chopped. He came out and did his stupid chops, and the crowd went, whoa, whoa, every time he did it. And so it's been a while since James Eden has done the Ric Flair, woo! And James Eden still can't do it right. But anyway, I did get bored of Flair's repetitive matches. They really did get repetitive, but I did enjoy the retirement storyline. The retirement storyline was fun to watch. I mean, don't get that wrong. And he does seem to have been a bitch, but he has done a great service for wrestling. I mean, you go to a Raw event right now, or a SmackDown event, and before the show even starts, the crowd will be doing the woo, the Ric Flair, you know that they'll be doing that before the show. But Flair should really get not much more praise than anyone else who worked during the 80s, because a lot of people did work harder than Ric Flair during the 80s, and they deserve just as much praise, just as much as Flair does, and they don't get it. So I do understand why all you guys hate Flair. I mean, I'm not his biggest fan, but I'm not a massive hater of him. I wouldn't make an account and put semen over his face, no offense, but I do respect him for a certain amount. Anyway, this has been the Garden of Eden episode 13. This has been a Q&A. Send in your questions to my message in my comment box if you want to be in my next video. And before the video ends, I just want to tell you that in just a week time, James Eden will be going to Canada. This is his Canadian money. This has been the Garden of Eden, episode 13.